every show, he'll come in and be like, "Man, I really think the light outside is gonna be all right." I'm like, "Dude, we're not gonna have the window open, okay? It just can't happen." He's like, "Well, let's just look at it." Every
It's got to be that.
every show, bro.
Yeah.
So we're live on Facebook right now.
Facebook's live.
Facebook's live.
I'm gonna sit like, hold on a minute now.
I'm just gonna take my shirt off.
Take your shirt off.
Take your shirt off.
Just
Take your shirt
I'm
off.
just kind of hot.
It is so. Oh my god. The inconspicuous. Put your arm over the date. Oh, out of the yawn. Oh yeah.
We should actually put the camera under the table where it pans.
Why you keep on itching, man? Look at him. He's gonna try to stop talking to himself while he's on camera on Facebook.
No, you know I'm sharing. I'm getting everybody pulled in the loop.
Okay.
He's the mature one.
Where's Wade? He is.
Wade's already
Is
on.
he on?
Wade's Wade's like, where you at?
Wade takes like 2 seconds to reply to a comment when he's at work.
It's awesome.
He's selling that vape.
And vape.
All right, so I'm gonna play the again like audio back through, Colin, as we always do.
And vape.
All right, so I'm gonna play the again like audio back through.
Is that Buzz?
That's not the buzz.
And vape.
All right, so I'm
Oh.
gonna play the
Boo.
again like audio back through.
Is that Buzz?
That's not the buzz.
And vape.
All right, so
That's a nice little loop. Buzz.
that's not the buzz.
And vape. That's a nice little loop. Can we get rid of
Yeah.
the whole? I don't like the loop anymore.
It's kind of fun. Can the people, can the people in the United States hear that loop?
They can hear the loop. I hate that.
And it's really confusing too.
Of the world, I should say.
We're getting that sound now.
I don't know, man. Damn it.
This is really awkward, Scott. I've got to go.
No, I'm not playing, Colin. I don't know why you're laughing. Ha 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 hell. I know, right? He's like, okay, guys. Sorry about your luck. Bye. Holla.
Yeah.
Holla.
I'm out.
Sorry about your luck. Bye.
What is that?
Oh my. Holla. We could do the same thing, the same setup, and it's something,
It's always
some new discrepancy every time.
so the people can hear that buzzing.
Yeah, they can. Some new. Yeah, they can. Some new. Well, I mean, it kind of went there for a second when you took the light off. Well, I mean, it kind of it's worse than it was last time. Just, dude, I could barely watch the. Hola, Bali, amen.
I'm not sure what's doing that.
It went away. Just randomly.
Is it gone?
It's gone, but why though?
Oh, listen. I'm not sure what's doing that.
It's gone.
It's cool.
It went away.
Okay.
Nice.
Look, he don't even care.
Nice.
I want to know why it was there.
Let's make this episode about that noise.
Yeah, the whole episode.
Man, that buzz really annoyed me. How about you guys?
Yeah.
How about you fellas?
Why do noises bother us?
Yeah.
How about you fellas?
The psychology of noise.
I
On
just
Two
don't.
Rational Bastards.
Now I like hums, but buzzing,
Yeah.
it really doesn't do much.
And cricket sounds are yeah.
Cricket sounds are great.
So I'm gonna drop the intro.
We'll freestyle rap every time, so just get ready. Yeah.
I'm gonna turn your damn mic off. This is Scott.
This is Colin, and we are Two Rational Bastards.
All right, I'm going to start the podcast audio portion now. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to another episode of Two Rational Bastards, broadcasting live Rose Garden Studios, just north of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm your host, Scott Mosley.
It's Colin Sadler.
Colin, what's up, man? So, last episode, getting a lot of feedback on the backflip into the pool.
Man, I'm 43 years old, and I'm starting my chapter in my life where I'm doing gymnastics and doing a lot of things that entail my body feeling like total booty the next day. Man, I did those 4 backflips into the pool, and you see people do stuff like that. Like, I know your daughter, she can do flips and stuff like that. You don't think about the muscles that have to just explode into action. Pulled my hip flexor. My lower back felt like crap. My abs felt like I had crunched for a whole day straight. It's just odd how your body has to respond. But what I really like is all the exercises that I'm doing that are different. Like, I'm not lifting weight. I'm not doing any sort of machinery or anything like that. Just the body weight stuff it's just changed everything I think about fitness.
So what I thought was funny is when you sent that to me, I thought, was he inspired by that story that Sinister shared about flipping into
No, I'm just like, the pool is a lot softer than some sand or the ground or concrete.
Hey, Wade, give me a quick, tell me if the volume is up good for you now. I had to make an adjustment. Just shoot me back.
Wade is always just the third man. It's just like, help us out, Wade.
I'm telling you, man, we're going to do, we need to have, like we talked about the green room setting, so he can call in and have him call in because he always has great comments and stuff. So Gary's back on. What's up, fellas? Hey, everything's good. We got a special guest today. So real quick, we have to talk a little bit of sports, like we always do.
Oh my God!
I know you just love that, right?
Oh wow.
So of course, hockey, right? We lost our own building, which was a goal, blown dead before the puck went in, which I'm sure made a lot of people there in the in the arena
absolutely
not very happy, but. It's what it is. I mean, we didn't play well enough to win. I mean, the bottom line.
But our refs were paid off by Pittsburgh. Can we talk about that for a second? I mean, like, their refs up there, they were biased, for their team to win, and us down here were just like, we're going to be fair, but if any discrepancies happen, it's going to be against those Preds. I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Well, could y'all give us a free goal or something? I mean, help us out.
Well, the thing about too, the whole talk about all week long was what Sidney Crosby did to PK Subban.
Yeah.
And had the roles been reversed, what kind of punishment would have come down? You know what I mean?
Right.
He's the star of the league, so they're not going to do anything to him. They may fine him after the fact, but they're not going to suspend him for a game.
No, not at all.
Here's another thing too: the fact that he got MVP of the finals, he scored 1 goal. Why did he get him? Because he's the face of the.
He's the
league.
face. He's the face.
Just
They got to keep him happy.
Yeah, it's just what it is. But so then
politics in games.
Yeah, right. No, not at all.
Is that a thing?
Right. So last night the NBA Finals wrapped up. Golden State should have wrapped that up in Cleveland, but Cleveland was on fire that night. They broke all kinds of records for threes and points and a half and all that stuff.
Well.
They had to play a perfect game to even pull one, and they did.
Not to take it as a segue back into hockey, but there was a point where I thought we were going to be swept. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, they're that much better than us.
Yeah.
And I was worried, and still proud, but the way they rallied and came back against they're a juggernaut. I mean, they won last year, and they're right there in the push every year. So. I was just so proud, but I found myself being like, you know what? I see us winning it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just this sense of this is a unique Cinderella story, and I think we're going to be that. It's just I was disappointed. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I wasn't at the game. I wasn't watching the game. I was at the CMAs, and got invited at the last minute, and I was just like, you know what? I've never done that before. We're going to win anyway, and blah, blah, blah. And every second they come up, it's still 0-0. I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And every artist that came up, I'm just going to be honest. I don't really dislike country, but I like it live. I like anything live.
Yeah.
I was so bored. I'm like, oh my God, if I could just be watching the game, you know? And when they came on and said that they had lost 2-0, I literally felt like someone had died. I was like, oh my God. Everybody in the crowd. I mean, it was just like, oh.
And Pekka played a phenomenal game. I mean, it was 1:30 left in the game when it happened. It ricocheted off. I mean, it was unreal. But going back to country music, for me, most country music is like nails on the chalkboard. So I'm just give it to you like that.
Country music, what I like about it is they tell stories and all of that. And sometimes the stories are really, really good. But
most of the time it's about drinking and
but can we talk about
wife.
Like a back road? I'm just like no story, no nothing. Just like that song's like the rap of rap of country.
And I'm sorry, Luke Bryan has the worst singing voice.
Oh yeah, you just
painful.
Lost. Like every country we're in, we just lost 10% of the fans.
Well, so I like when he hosts things and when he's interviewed, he's very charismatic and very likable. But his singing voice is. Oh, it's painful.
But what is he? He's the rap Britney Spears of country.
Yeah, well, okay.
Britney Spears. I had a friend that was trying to quantize her music.
Yeah.
Most of the time, he said like anybody else, Celine Dion, anybody like that, it takes him like maybe 30 minutes. It took him 14 hours. So 3 days. 3 days to quantize her stuff because she's so off.
Yeah.
And been in the business this long. Well, at that time, that was like 6 years ago. At that time, she'd been in the business for so long and still didn't know how to help out the engineer.
So Jake Thomas says, tell Colin to give my shirt back. And then,
dude, just because I'm wearing a tank top, it's a extra large.
And then Wade says, new country sucks, but the old country kicks ass. So
all country pretty bad. The only thing about old country is it was going to definitely tell a story, and nowadays you got body like a.
Well, the thing about even old country, it blended more of a rock kind of sense. Some of it had kind of a rock sense, especially like Johnny Cash and people like that.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, new country is painful to listen to. I mean, some of the artists are okay. I mean, if they have more of a poppy sound, but even that is kind of dreadful to listen to. But anyway, so we always start the show with a quote. And this is interesting because we were talking about kind of this off camera before.
Did you have this? Did you have this quote before we had that conversation?
I did. Yeah,
wow.
I pulled it up. It's
synchronicity of every show.
So this is a Medgar Evers quote. When you hate, the only person that suffers is you because most of the people you hate don't know it and the rest don't care.
Right, right.
I mean, we talk about, the discrepancies and what shows up for us and how we have to identify that and deal with that. And most of the time, we've had these comments before in the past, it's like when you present something to another individual and you finally have to cut them out of your life for whatever reason.
Right.
And you're kind of harsh and you cut it off. It's like, well, they're grown-ups. They need to deal with it. They need to deal with the discrepancy of whatever hurt them, why I cut them off.
Right.
That's their problem. So this really kind of ties in. And then kind of what we were saying.
Yeah, we always do this.
Yeah. So
but also, you need to take a look in the mirror to see what's going on with you.
I get that.
You don't ever do that, man.
I get
you
that.
always blame it on the other person.
No. But what I say, because we say that a lot. We talk about self,
right.
All that stuff all the time. We rarely talk about. Sometimes we cut them off. We don't have to have a reason why we're explain that reason every time. So, go back and listen to some of our damn shows, man.
I'm not going to listen.
Anyway, so today we have a special guest. I've known Brandon Frazer for, God, I don't know how long. It goes way middle school, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, to the 80s. Yeah. And so most people that are listening that are mutual friends of ours may think that we're going to have a really deep philosophical type conversation because people know Brandon of the type of things he posts and talks about and the type of things we talk about, but we got you fooled today. We're actually going to be talking about health. We're going to talk about Brandon's agreed to come on and kind of be a guinea pig and kind of help us dissect his situation and give him ideas. And we thought, because we were exchanging messages, I said, you should just come on the show. Maybe the things we talk about can help our audience.
That'd be awesome.
He's like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, oh God, he's willing to come on and let us, really talk about it. So he's on, and Brandon, I want you to, because we don't want to steal anybody's, introduction, anything. Just tell those that don't know who you are, what you do, all those kind of things, and why you're here, and that kind of stuff.
Well, my name is Brandon Frazer. I'm the rare Nashville native.
Yeah, there's few of us, yeah.
There are very few. I work as an elevator technician. and I've kind of, my lifelong interest has been in philosophy.
I love it.
Yeah, it's been something else. The past few years, I've gotten more into physical fitness, and that's kind of why I contacted you, is because I kind of feel like I've kind of hit somewhat of a wall, and had no idea I'd be doing this in front of lights and a camera. But so that's why I'm here ultimately.
Well, that's good. So interesting. I guess a kind of an interesting kind of way to kind of lead into that is talking about as we age, obviously things slow down. It's a bit harder to make some changes and see muscle gain, and you lose muscle and things like that. But I think something that will be a good tie-in for you to kind of start talking about, Colin, is you tell people what you did the other day on your crawl.
Right. Tell
that story and talk. That will lead into muscle and things like that. So talk about that.
Well, I don't know if you guys can see my hand, but it's pretty much annihilated. We made a decision to go up to the bridge and do something that I've only done for short distances. Crawling, most people haven't done it since they were a baby, and it's the most natural thing when that's the only thing that you can do when you go from lying to crawling, and your spine is literally, the gravity on your spine is abnormal. You know what I'm saying? Because typically it's stacked,
right,
and the gravity is just compressing your spine. But when you take it horizontal, your muscles and your spine are acting in a way against the gravity that you're not accustomed to. Well, we crawled across the walking bridge in Nashville. It took an hour. Well, it took my friend that I work out with, it took him an hour and 10 minutes. I hate that son of a. But I was so jealous because he was so far ahead of me. It took me an hour and 45 minutes to finish. And about 10 minutes of that was at the end, Scott. I'm sitting there looking at, I don't know, about 70 yards. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and my body and my mind and everything is screaming, we're done. You know what I mean? It's the wall. Like I left it all on the bridge, and I had 70 yards to go. And it was that moment that you're digging into the well. There was blisters already on my hand. I had to take my shirt and wrap it around one hand, take my socks off, and put it on the other hand just because of the heat.
So hot.
And then, after a while, that started to blister. So you're going, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the walking bridge, but there's a hill on one side, and then it spikes up again. Then it goes kind of flat. There's no flat surfaces really, but it goes kind of flat. Then it goes down a hill and then down a steeper hill. So by the time I decided to take my shoes off and put my socks back on and put my shoes on my hands, the blisters, it just the pressure. So I'm sitting there and people are walking by. I had one lady smack me so that I could have adrenaline. They're walking toward me, and the dude, I was like, hey, oh my God, you're working out on the bridge. I didn't know you could do that. I'm just like, we're not in Berlin, but yeah, you can work out wherever you want. But I didn't get smart with it. I was just like, oh man, that's great. Yeah, you can work out any way you want. Sir, could you do me a favor? He's like, yeah, well, it depends on what it is. I was like, man, I just need you to smack me to give me an adrenaline burst. And he goes, I'm not going to do that. I will. I'll smack your black butt right now. So she came up and she gave me the lightest smack. It was literally like a,
that's what I said.
She smacked me, and it barely made a smack. I just and I had that, I didn't want to disappoint. I was like, whoa, yeah, thank you.
You had to overact like Jim Carrey did.
Exactly. And then I get back down just like, that did nothing.
But what position is this crawl?
It's a bear crawl, right?
It's a bear crawl. So imagine being down on all fours, your knees are off the ground, and all your weight are on your hands and your toes, and then your muscles compensate for the tension in between.
So all your stabilizer muscles, all that stuff.
Everything.
And you text me yesterday. Tell me that you keep telling. I'll pull up the text.
Yeah, pull up the text. But my spine, okay, like if you're, I don't know what sports you've done in the past or if you work out, but imagine lactic acid in your legs or lactic acid in your arms when you do too many reps. Imagine that in your spine. I'm not talking spinal erectors. I'm talking in your spine. my spine literally feels like somebody is in there trying to escape. But then my spinal erectors are literally destroyed, man. Like everything that I'm doing, like I've not felt like I've had to recover from my spine. Mm-hmm. And this is coming from a guy that deadlifted and powerlifting for 5 years. I mean, deadlifting doesn't hit these muscles like I was hitting. And it took, think about it, you're on all fours for an hour and 40, well, you know, I was resting quite a bit too.
Yeah.
But for an hour and 45 minutes, so my abs are fried, my glutes are fried, my quads literally felt like I've been doing leg extensions all day. It's amazing. But to get to that point that you have to stop and you should stop and everything in you is telling you to stop, there's that moment where you get to have a conversation with yourself. Are you going to lie to yourself because you know you made a decision to do something and you're going to finish? You know what I mean? Like my hands were literally done. My quads didn't even want to push me forward anymore. And
yeah.
my arms were dead and my abs were sore. And I'm sitting there looking at that distance and I just had to just will it forward. And as bad as it was, that accomplishment when you got there, the hardest thing that I did before that was run the Music City Marathon.
Yeah. So Colin sends, here's what Colin sends me on the weekend. Saturday, he sends me a video of him turning a backflip into a pool. And I said, nice. I said, I'd break a toe and bust my spleen if I try to do that. He said, you're more athletic. He's just being kind. Then he decides on Sunday to text me. I don't know what you're trying to tell me. I think you're trying to like make me feel bad, I think. He said, guess what I did today? I bear crawled the entire walking bridge. I said, oh shit, you are not human. He said, I feel pain in areas right now that I didn't think existed. So you had 2 days where you did some kind of extraordinary things. But I think the reason why I wanted you to tell that story, one, it's remarkable. But two, I think it leads into, as we age, we hit these walls. Right. Well, we hit these mental walls, obviously, that we always do. But there are physical walls that happen as you age. You know,
right.
When is it the age that, especially in men, the muscle starts to not break down, but it decreases? When is that time frame? When is that?
Well, actually, the age that hormonally you start to decline is, man, you're going to hate this because it's way different for women, is 25.
Right.
Like as soon as you reach puberty, every second after that, you are declining unless.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And so we're going to talk about the unless. So and what I can tell you too is, because I've hit these things too, this is why you're on the show, is I can look back to when I was 39 or 40, so I'm 45 now, and let's say I'm doing the same routine, and I've got, you know, tone whatever.
Right.
I'm doing the same thing at 45, and I'm suddenly like, wait, it's not. I look like I'm losing. What the hell is going on? It's just because the thing. So then you have to kind of change up and trick the body again, and do some different things, body weighted stuff, and change your diet a little bit differently.
Absolutely.
So those are the kind of things we're going to hit today. So did you want to share something on what I had just mentioned? It looked like maybe you did. I didn't want to.
Well, I was just putting down a note on one of the major reasons why as we get older, we start to prune off some things. So I'm just making that note. No,
okay, good. I didn't want to. I wanted it to be congruent. I didn't want to mess it up.
No, you're good.
So let's talk about this, Brandon. Let's talk about for a minute. You know, obviously, how old are you, and stuff like that. How much do you weigh? Talk about what you're kind of currently doing, and you talk about hitting a wall. How long have you been on the particular diet or exercise plan that you've been on, and that kind of stuff? So.
Well, everything that I do, you know, comes from, you know, being more or less uneducated about all of this, especially compared to you guys. I'm 45. I'll be 46 in just a few weeks, in fact.
Oh.
And so my workout pretty much is almost always the same. I do about 20 minutes on the stair climber. Mm-hmm. And then I either do, you know, pushing or pulling upper body, at intervals between workouts. And I always do about 6 different core or ab exercises every time. My diet is not very impressive. It's not bad. I don't eat bad food necessarily, but I do a muscle milk protein shake. Most days, definitely on exercise days, sometimes twice a day. I add 4 raw eggs and some peanut butter to that.
Right.
So I eat quite a bit of protein in the form of meat.
Okay.
And I try to throw in carbs, good carbs, but not every day.
So what type of carb? When you say carbs, what type of carbs are we talking about?
Read my mind.
I mean, like,
sorry, you knew I'm going right there.
Not Coca-Cola and Starburst.
Good.
Like noodles. Like I really like Thai food, so and fruit.
Okay.
And oatmeal.
All right.
So
you said a plateau. You said you hit a plateau.
Yeah, I think I've just been feeling weak. Not really with the cardio and all that. I feel strong. I don't. Scott mentioned like looking like maybe we're losing mass. I don't feel like my tone or bulk, what little there is of it, is going down. But I feel like I've actually had to like move down in weights. Like I did curl and 40 pounds, and I've had to go down to 35, and I do like 3 sets of 12, and by the time I'm getting to the end, I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is in a year in the making.
Okay, so you've had the same routine that whole time, correct?
I have.
Okay,
yes.
so think about it this way: you're working out when you first started. That same workout did what for you? Like as far as recovery, like the soreness. Just give a little rundown of how that felt in the very beginning, like say the first 2 weeks.
Oh, well, there's definitely a lot of soreness.
Right. Okay, so that soreness, that's the adaptation, right? Because you went from doing whatever you were doing, and then you started doing that, and then your body's like, holy crap, this is way more than the thing before. And then your body adapts, and then you keep pushing it, and it keeps adapting until you don't have to adapt anymore. So now what you're doing is just maintaining. So what comes after that? After you've adapted to the thing that you started 365 days ago, now it's like it's not even enough to keep up with what you're doing as far as your take in, take out, what the calories you take in and what you're expending. So the workout that you're doing now is not even good enough to keep up with keeping you on par with your results. You see what I'm saying? You've over-adapted.
Yeah, because I definitely don't feel sore.
Exactly.
No matter how,
So, like, when you first started walking, I saw a baby the other day after we did the crawl. Scott.
Yeah.
Did you know there was a water park on the other side of the bridge that's down underneath? There's a water park down there.
What bridge are you talking about?
The walking bridge. What's it called?
You talking about at Shelby Bottoms or Shelby Street Bridge?
It's not Shelby.
It's
the walking bridge. I don't know. It's a weird name that it is.
So give people demographically so they can kind of visualize.
Okay, so if you're on 3rd and you go past South, the restaurant, right before you get to Tequila Cowboy right there on Broad, there's a walking bridge there.
Yeah.
And it comes out right there at Nashville Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Shelby Street Bridge.
Okay, Shelby. Okay, cool. So you get on the other side of that and you go down the steps or walk around the walkway. You walk around that trail. Underneath the underpass right there is a piano.
Yeah.
That's just out there chained up. It's so cool. I played meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. And then we went around the little walkway. It's beautiful down there. There's a water park down there. It's like a little water spraying up, and kids were down there. There was this kid that probably started walking when he was 5 months old. He was bow-legged. Mm-hmm. To that kid, walking is astronomically hard. But how hard is it for you? Right. It's not that hard at all. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to lose a ton of weight and all you do is walk the same distance you always walk, you're not going to lose anything. Mm-hmm. Your body has more than overcompensated for walking. So in a sense, that's what your body has done with that workout. That's why you have to constantly, if you talk about a year and week terms, there's only 52 weeks in a year. So if you're switching your routine up every 6, 8 to 12 weeks, you're going to massively improve your plausibility of getting a result. Even if it's not even moving your weight around, but just moving different types of things that you're doing.
So that what's important about that is start trying to introduce body weighted exercises. We talked a little bit off air about that, because you're going to incorporate stabilizer muscles. You're going to incorporate things that you don't normally move, because this, although it's free, they call it free weights, it's still isolated.
Yeah.
You still don't get, you're still not incorporating because you're static, you're stuck in a place.
Right.
If you do a pull up,
right,
all kinds of stuff's being incorporated into that. All kinds of things are going on there. So,
I'm going to mention this real quick. This isn't bashing machinery. To isolate is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, you can really get some good manipulation. But to isolate exclusively or to do body weight exclusively could be a detriment to you. What you're going to do when you're doing a machine, like say lat pull down, if I'm doing my own body weight and I'm pulling up, there's things in my legs that are firing.
That's right.
There's things in my feet that are
your
firing.
core. I mean,
your body is saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way down to the bottom of your antagonist muscles that are working, all the way up to your fingertips. If you use a machine like a lat pull down machine, I'm in a seated position, and there are things that are cut off. So you're skipping steps on how it would feel and how the muscles would fire. The best example I can give you is getting in a handstand push-up, or getting in an inverted position. Put your feet up against the wall.
Do a push-up.
And doing a inverted push-up, which is for your shoulders. So imagine being in a handstand and then going down, touching your head, and then pushing up. There are things that are happening in your body that you can't simulate from a seated position.
The core exercises I do, I've noticed that, it's from my feet to everything.
Yeah. So if you sit down, all of those muscles are cut off, and then you're isolating areas that wouldn't even be on their own.
Part of that too ties in, because muscles inherently are lazy. So what do you have to do? You have to shock them, right? And if they get used to that routine, they're like, I'm relaxed and chilled. I'm on the beach and I'm having a pina colada. So you got to shock it. Like, oh, we're changing your location now. We're throwing it in the Mojave now. Whatever. So body weight exercises, change up your repetition too. If you've been doing 3 sets of 12 for a year, well, you need to then incorporate doing some heavy and lower set reps, so go up to 40 and do 4 reps or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So, because what's going to happen is, and he can speak more to this, he's the certified trainer, not me, but you're one type of exercise, you're doing more fast twitch, when you're doing slow, so you need to incorporate all as much as you possibly can.
Right.
And I'm going to say this while it's kind of fresh in my mind, and this, one reason why we hit a wall is assimilation. And let me explain that. Okay, so we know from science, if you read any type of articles, medical documents, the vast majority of illnesses, diseases, root from inflammation.
Right.
Inflammation in the body. Okay, so if we know that, then if we introduce things into our body that decreases inflammation, we decrease inflammation in our body,
right,
then what happens? We know that our cells replenish, reproduce every 60, 90 days and fully every year. Okay, so if I'm always putting things into my body that are causing inflammation, I'm not saying you go vegan, but we're going to talk about fasting and things like that. Cut out some things for a while, dairy, meat, and things like that, because wheat and dairy are the 2 biggest causes of inflammation in the body. So new cells are being introduced into an inflamed, oxidative stress environment. So if I can reduce that for a time, those healthy cells come in, they say, I'm not having to fight for my life here. I can then go to other parts of the body and start a healing process. Okay, what does that do? That heals your veins, that heals capillaries, that heals all kinds of things. So then when you're intaking this muscle protein shakes that you do, and your diet, even at the current diet, which I'll make some recommendations on that about your carbohydrates, we'll do that.
Right.
You're going to assimilate those minerals and nutrients much better. Why is that important? Well, obviously we know you need better nutrition for your health, but it's going to help you start getting past that plateau. Even if you don't change the routine, you're going to see some moderate change in your ability to lift stronger again, because you're getting the nutrients into your body much better, because you've reduced the stress and oxidative stress in your body. And there are supplements and stuff we'll talk about as we go to do that. So, what do you have?
Well, to add to that, when you're talking about inflammation, there's natural inflammation. Like you're gonna get.
I'm so glad you're saying that. Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna experience inflammation. That's part of the soreness. Lactic acid. I mean, it sounds as horrible as. I mean, it is as horrible as it sounds. It's acid in your muscle. Your muscle pushes out this liquid type of acid to kind of help with an energy source. And when it's a massive amount, it comes out like a liquid, and then whatever doesn't absorb back in sits there and crystallizes. That's what kind of crumbles underneath your skin when you feel somebody massaging you. And that's one of the main reasons you have to drink plenty of water after a massage, because once that's being forced back in, it's in a toxic form, and you could get sick from it. Well, I say all that to say this. Oh, on top of the fact it's solid, so it's pushing on a pressure points all throughout, and it makes you more tense, which causes more inflammation, and all the way down the line. That's external. You know what I mean? Eating sugar, eating carbs, eating gluten, all those types of things cause all sorts of different types of inflammation in your body, mainly in your gut. You have gluten is a protein that can't be broken down, and if you don't, most people like Scott and I and most people out there, we treat it like a fiber, and it just shoots right on through our body like a fiber. But for some people, their bodies tries to assimilate that protein, and it will breach the abdominal wall, and once protein that hasn't been broken down into aminos gets into your bloodstream, your body treats that like it's an antigen, or like it's a disease.
Yeah.
All right. So protein in your blood, bad. Amino in your blood, when it's broken down into each individual chain, good.
Good.
But once that protein is in your blood, your body is attacking that. That's causing more inflammation. So I say all that to say this: you get rid of some of those things, give your body a fighting chance to not do so much work on just fighting to get you back to normal, and fast and some of the other things that we're going to suggest. What you're doing is, now the cell that duplicates will duplicate that type of cell,
right?
Not a not a disease cell that's used to fighting all the time. That's what's aging you. The inflammation is actually aging you faster than you actually have to age.
That's exactly right.
Think about a banana or an apple that's been peeled. That brown is oxidation. Well, imagine that on a cellular level. That's exactly what you're doing when you add all of that into the equation of mitosis. And then apoptosis, when the cell dies,
Yeah.
all it had is those type of situations. So can I borrow a sheet of your paper for a second?
Sure.
This is the best way I can explain it. Like if I copy this off,
Show that to them.
on a printer, if I copy that little scribble line off on a printer, that second copy is going to be identical to that. You'll barely be able to tell the difference. All right. Well, what about the 100th one? Okay.
Be dim, and
it'd be dim, probably hardly any ink, right? So it'd be a big discrepancy between this one and the 100th one. So imagine from 25 to 45, you haven't given your body a chance to duplicate a decent cell. You're going to have a massively shitty cell that you've been duplicating for a long time. And that's the main reason you're aging. If you fast and you eat certain things, you take certain supplements, and this is the one that I hate the most: eat less meat.
Yeah.
Meat.
I hate that.
I know, I hate it too. But not okay. Steak in your body can just assimilate just 10% of it could take a week.
Yeah.
Like,
I went, and it could. I don't think there's necessarily a correlation, especially from a one-off thing. But several years ago, you know, I went pretty much vegan, and I think that I was probably at maybe my worst health after a year of it.
right.
Now I can't, as I said, I can't. You know, there could have been other factors. Certainly, there could have been, but
Well, that's also not understanding what you have to pair together to get a complete chain of aminos. What supplements what to make sure that you're getting the full nutritional value of what you're eating. Because here's the thing, we know this too, and there are benefits. I'm vegan. Everybody
what
knows
do
that.
you do for iron? You don't have to do that now, but I don't want to forget.
Yeah,
to ask
so,
you that.
well,
Go ahead.
Yeah, so iron can obviously come through beans and things like that you know is inherent there. So what I'm saying is I'm vegan, but I don't knock people that eat meat because there are some beneficial things to meat. But
Exactly.
the negative for me, this is for me, what works for me, far outweighed the benefits of
Right.
eating meat because it lives in your gut, the saturated fat, the oxidative stress that it causes. Also, this is a fact that we know too is the same gram of a plant-based protein and the same gram, I'm not talking about the iron, all those kind of things, some of the benefits you get from the meat protein, and a gram of the meat protein, you're going to assimilate and use more of the plant-based
Right.
protein than you will ever use the meat. So you have to eat a whole lot more. You talked about muscle milk, isolated whey protein. You have to intake a whole lot more of that than you do a plant-based protein. So there's a big misconception. And many people,
but to the benefit
Some
of
people
the,
disagree with that.
well, and many people feel like, and we've talked about this a little bit too, that the old rule of thumb, a half a gram or two for a body, you know, a pound of whatever, you know, how you do that calculation, that really would probably intaking way too much protein because your body's not using it correctly anyway. You're shitting most of it out anyway, right? So,
right.
go
Well,
ahead.
just to be devil's advocate here, just a little bit. Yeah, going vegan without getting the iron. There's heme iron only in red meat.
Right.
Right.
That period. And heme iron is the main ingredient in hemoglobin, and that's how you oxidize, blah, blah, blah. But the amount of red meat that you would need, you know, it would take about, 6 or 7 months to become deficient. So that lets you know that the amount of red meat that you would need and the amount that people are eating is excessive. If I drink enough water, I'm hydrated. If I drink too much water, I drown. If I don't drink enough, I'm dehydrated. So there's a balance that I don't think that we're meeting overall. And you have a thing called protein synthesis. Like, protein synthesis is, if you eat protein all the time, you're wasting most of it. You know what I mean? The amount that you need to gain a pound is only 3 grams. So that lets you know. I mean, when's the last time you ate?
Why is there so much emphasis then in the media about not getting enough protein? And,
Okay. Okay. So if you're an athlete like Michael Phelps that's eating 10 meals a day and eating 10,000 calories and all that stuff, you got to think of the expenditure, and then you got to think about every calorie that you eat. It takes 20 times that to break it down. Okay, so I can take that information and I can manipulate my body to look a certain way. Okay, so if I'm eating frequently, I can get a great look. Okay, nobody's disputing that. If you eat frequently, you're going to lose weight and you're going to look great, but you're going to feel like shit because you're taxing your gut, you're taxing your adrenals, and you're taxing the amount of calories that your brain needs just to have thought. Every thought that you have takes energy and calories. So if I'm eating frequently, it's at what cost? When you see people in the magazine and people on stage, they're at their most unhealthy. They're at 2 to 3 to 4% body fat because they're dehydrated, they're malnourished, blah, blah, blah. There's people that pass out on stage. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they take diuretics. And
They
stuff like that.
take diuretics and stuff like that, but some don't. But the amount of water that they've depleted is so massive that they're still in jeopardy. And on a cellular level, it takes days to get back on track after you've been dehydrated. So I say all that to say this. there's a balance. You know what I mean? Like, I think that going 100% vegan is not going to be for everybody. I don't think that going 100% omnivore is going to be for everybody. But I think what is for everybody is a balance. And that's going to be unique to each individual. And I love meat. I absolutely love it. But to know that it oxidizes so heavily, I know we haven't touched on why it's so important for oxidation. But when you're talking about why you age and why you're sick and why certain things, with your joints happen, the arthritis and all that stuff, you got to talk about the inflammation first. And that's before you get into, in your capillaries and veins being full. Well, there's inflammation there too, but it's cloggages. That's due to fat that hasn't been simulated. And it's due to the fact that your endothelial wall doesn't produce arginine and citrulline to where it can heal, which leads to ladies and gentlemen, because the ladies are disappointed, erectile dysfunction. We don't get enough fiber in our diet. You know what I mean? Soluble fiber. We'll eat the avocado and throw away the pit. I mean, if you ground that up, it would be the amount of fiber that you would need for the week. But the amount of soluble fiber that you're actually going to get if you eat a normal diet, even if you're a vegetarian, is maybe 1.5. So we already know we're deficient in soluble fiber. That's what's going to scrape the endothelial wall clean. That's before you add the nutrients. If you could clear your endothelial wall or your capillaries and veins only, you would see a massive improvement. But think about this. If I don't drink water for 4 days?
Yeah.
You're dead as hell.
That's right.
All right. If you don't eat, depending on what your body fat percentage is, you can, if you're a bigger person, let's say 25%, you can live for months without one bite of food. Scott, we promised each other.
Did you guys have a moment just then?
We had a moment.
That was very tender.
I know. I'm going to stop swearing so much on the air, all right? But in this moment, I'm not. If you hold your breath long enough, I'm pretty sure, unless you're a yogi, and you could drop your heartbeat down to 1 beat per minute. You hold your breath for 5 minutes, you a dead motherfucker.
Yeah, you did.
You know what I mean? So oxygen in your blood, oxygen in your body is massively important.
Right.
So if you are oxidized, you are not getting oxygen to your body. You are killing your body. You're turning that banana and that apple into a brown piece of crap.
And what if more people could see on the cellular level what the cells look like? What kind of change would they make in their diet? So we'll go back to the iron, and we won't go off because this could be a whole nother show. Heme iron is also actually, and I know in your research you found this out too, is associated. Too much intake of heme iron is associated with colon cancer.
Absolutely.
But, so
which
natural
is too much.
Right. So natural ways for vegans to get iron is going to be cream of wheat, quinoa, nuts and seeds, legumes, soy protein, and things like that. So also vegans tend to be deficient in B12. Well, it's because they don't know that, one, you can either take a B12 supplement that's natural, or you incorporate nutritional yeast into your diet, because nutritional yeast has naturally living B12 in it. So many times you get anemia from lack of the B12 and the iron, because most vegans don't educate themselves on how to complete. Okay, today I only had greens. The last 2 days I only ate kale. I'm just poking fun at vegans because we always like to say kale, right? So I only ate kale. Well, actually, kale does have some iron in it. But okay, now I need to eat some beans too because I got to complete my nutritional profile. I'm missing a lot of my supplementation. Also, I'm not one to say, because I can't, the amount of juicing, the amount of cooking I'd have to do to get all of us to get the nutritional intake that we need would be massive. So what I even suggested to you and showed you, get a whole food raw multivitamin. Not one that's assimilated, but one that's actually from food that's dehydrated into. Oh yeah,
he found one that I'm so glad you found it. But on the soy, before it gets too deep in the well, Soy is estrogenic.
Right.
Soy
So
is
men
estrogenic.
don't take much of it.
But what you're talking about is soybean.
Right.
Fermented soy, which you typically use in most of your tofu and stuff like that, that is not estrogenic at all.
Exactly.
What's more estrogenic is microwaving and Tupperware or plastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because Tupperware and stuff is really feminine. So when we get, so you touched on this unless thing because you just got into the hormones. I want to go back to that, and I really want to make sure that we talk about the unless.
Yes.
So the things I've read from deep research on Google is certain exercises like using heavy weights helps your body produces more testosterone.
Absolutely.
There's certain supplements you can take that are geared toward that have like B vitamins and I think maybe
Folic acid.
Folic acid.
These things. So I wanted to see what we had to say about that.
Okay, so when you lift heavy weight, your body is going to produce a massive amounts of testosterone.
Is that why I feel horny after I work out? I was texting my girlfriend after my workout
well,
today.
That might be oxytocin and other endorphins also.
That fires as well.
Right.
Yeah, it was definitely firing.
Yeah. You're gonna get horny after workout if you lifted heavy and you pushed yourself to the limit. But more than that, the testosterone that you produce from lifting heavy weight is great, but what produces just as much testosterone is pushing yourself to the limit.
Yeah.
Pushing yourself to where your body, not your body, but your cell has to say, okay, I'm empty, I'm done, so I've got to make an adjustment. So in other words, again in science, going on the science route, in your cell you have several mitochondria. Most people, they eat before they work out. They don't work out fasted. I'm not saying fast all the way up until 3 and then, you can do that. But if you ate at 12, you didn't eat again, at your 3 o'clock workout, you eat after. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to push the intensity of that cell so that it's using up all the energy that it has to make an adjustment. So if there's nothing there, your cell's like, okay, we're out of energy, let's make an adjustment. So the adjustment is 9 times out of 10. Mitochondria, by the way, is the engine of the cell. It's what gives you the energy in the first place. It will say, we don't have any energy left, so let's get more of an engine. So you might increase your mitochondria number twice. So you might go from 2 to 3 to 6 to 8 mitochondria. So now it takes less fuel to produce energy. So most people, they will eat beforehand, and then all they're doing is getting rid of that, especially if they eat a carb. Well, I like eating before a workout. Well, if you really like eating before a workout, use ketones.
Yeah.
Because you're still going to be pushing the mitochondria. So don't eat a carb. But then that goes against what other people are thinking, and that is that you need some sort of energy.
Now, how does a person eat a ketone?
How you eat a ketone is you eat a protein source only with no carbs, and then your body, instead of using glucose as an energy source, it uses ketones. You know what I mean? Carbs are broken down into glucose, and protein and fat is broken down into a ketone.
So what protein would you use if you were going to do before a workout?
If I was gonna eat anything before a workout, it would be just a protein. I mean, I don't do that, but this is a hypothetical. I would use something like a fat source, a coconut butter, which is medium chain triglyceride. I can get the energy from that via my liver, breaking it down within 5 to 15 minutes. Medium chain triglyceride in butter, medium chain triglycerides in coconut butter or coconut oil, or I would just do a protein shake that had no carbs in it. But I would rather go into a workout fasted so that I get more of the hormonal response.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So now when I come in and I do the carb after that, the most endogenous or the most potent hormone that your body produces is insulin. Okay, I'm going to get a little geeky here. Okay, there's GLUT4 in muscle, and there's GLUT4 in fat. The reason why most people that eat carbs get fatter is because there's more GLUT4 in fat. GLUT4 is what tells the insulin come on in. So that other percentage, that 35% that's in muscle, you have to manipulate your body into taking that in. So if you're doing carbs randomly all day long or all over the place, by the time you bring in insulin, you've got calories that can be converted into fat. You have carbs that can be converted into fat, and a growth hormone that can make the fat hormonally bigger, just like taking steroids. It is a steroid. But if somebody came up to you and said, "Oh man, why are you so big? What do you eat?" "Oh, only 1,000 calories. How do you work out?" "I don't work out that much, but I do take steroids." No one would ask a question. So if you're manipulating that same fact, you would still get the same result. I don't eat as much meat as I used to. I'm not working out with weight. I weigh 5 pounds less than I did when I was powerlifting. And I would cut down to 200 just so I could, manipulate the numbers. So I'm walking around 5 pounds heavier than I used to walk around, crawling and pulling, my own body weight and pushing. Most of the things I do for pushing is push-ups and handstands and handstand push-ups. You know what I'm saying? It's the hormone manipulation with the diet that's helping with that. So when you're talking about coming off of a fast and then doing a carb, you have a steroid that your body naturally produces going straight into the muscle, when randomly it would be going into the fat. So you have type 1 diabetes you're born with, type 2 diabetes, you eat your way into that situation. What do those people look like typically? Overweight. They have human growth hormone going into their fat every time they eat a carb. You know what I'm saying? And then after a while, God forbid, they get to the point that their pancreas shuts down, because you only have so many bullets in a gun. You only have so much insulin your pancreas can shoot out before it says, "I'm done." And then they have to get a pump and blah, blah, blah. And it's only an adjustment in their diet. And it all goes back to inflammation, too much sugar, too much carbs, and not enough fasting. Not starving, Scott.
Yeah.
It's just fasting.
Right.
Or it would be a different term on starving. There's starvation and there's fasting. So when you fast, if you look at it this way, when you fast, your body is actually getting better and better and better. It's improving. Why? It's preparing you for that moment you start to starve. So why don't you let it get better and better and better and introduce food before you get to that process? So everything you're doing is yo-yoing forward. You're not getting. I was talking to a person yesterday. I said, "That doesn't sound healthy." Bitch, you just ate a hamburger from McDonald's.
So, and I think what's important, that illustration you gave there is and seems like it would be common sense, but we've talked about this in the past, and how you'll have people on a diet and I'm not seeing results. They'll be a month in or whatever. They make whatever. Dude, 20 years you've been eating like this. You can't expect this to change.
Right.
Right. I mean, you've got a lot of things that got to heal in your body before you're going to see those changes. I mean, so anyway, and we're talking about carbs. We keep going back to that. You talked about noodles and things like that. Those are starchy and not. I mean, you need some of that type of carb, but try to incorporate more. You may hate this stuff, but the darker green as possible type of carb to introduce in. Again, your body's going to assimilate it, use it better. You're not going to get a dump of sugar, and you're not going to store and turn it into fat and things like that, like you would with leafy greens and stuff like that. So I just think that's something that people miss whenever they're going, like in your situation. They've hit a wall, they've changed their diet, and they're eating pretty clean. They think the only carbohydrate source that they need to intake are some pasta and stuff like that, and
it goes back to the synthesis. So when you eat your steak, when you eat your chicken, when you eat your fish, when you eat these meat sources, don't do it randomly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do it after a workout, especially a workout that you've changed. You said you've been doing that all year. I mean, it was obsolete, 51 weeks ago. Not 51. It was,
I've
like
been
40
thinking
weeks.
that just,
like,
na- just
right,
like, naively, 'cause
Exactly.
one thing I've changed, I've tweaked and added some things here and there, but I don't have personal trainer friends, but I do watch
Yeah, you do.
the guys in the gym. Thank you. How sweet. Can we see this? So I watched like this other guy, and I was just thinking yesterday, watching these guys some of these guys are like older than me, 10 years older than me, some more, and they look
Great.
like fantastic.
Right.
And they're really mixing it up,
Yeah.
doing stuff that I'm like, I need to do that. I need to do that,
Right. And that's the other thing too, like you have the guys that, I mean, you want to get to that point. Like, I don't want to look much different than this ever. I just want to polish the diamond, if you will. I'm not trying to get bigger. I'm not trying to be smaller. I'm trying to hone what I've done so far. But what a lot of people will do before they get to that point, they will mix it up so much that, I mean, you can still get a result, but if you make your body a genius, how are you going to mix it up to that next level and make it respond again? So if you're doing CrossFit and you come over here this week and do this and do this and do it's
Don't
something
do it
different
too
every
much.
day. You do something different every day, your body's adjusting,
Yeah.
it's adapting to all that. Next thing you know, you're trying to mix it up and you're in this perpetual plateau that you
Yeah.
can't figure out what to do next.
Because you've trained your body to
Yeah,
adapt to that.
your body is Rich Froning, the CrossFit champion of the last 75 years. I mean, you've got to mix it up in a way that when I change, like say I do body weight stuff here, when you add weight, that's going to be a big difference.
Yeah.
So add weight and don't worry about so much heaviness and all that, but just really tax the weight and then go into a powerlifting type of thing for 3 or 4 weeks, because when you lift heavy, it's more neurological. Your nervous system is taxed a little bit more, so you got to be a little bit more careful. And then come over here and do more like bursts and doing sprints and using kettlebells and stuff like that. And then just cycle that. Like if you don't want to be super creative, just season the thing. Do this here. Okay, I'm done with that. Go here. Go here. By the time you reach a plateau with that, you'll probably be pretty close to where you want to be. And then you can just be like, all right, I'm going to do this most of the time. And then when I make an adjustment, I'll start running my laps again or create something totally new. People make it so difficult by thinking it's just one formula. It's adaptation. You can do whatever you want with it. You know what I mean? Like, you can do anything you want with that and take that same format into how you eat. And I'm going to say this on air. There is, and I know Scott has this one way of eating and this and that and the other. And I'm not trying to say I'm disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, for me, my humble opinion is there is no specific way to eat. The proof is we have seasons. And if you could take away that thing that helps us to simulate one season, which is grocery stores, and you could go out there and you actually had to go hunt and you had to go forage and you had to go, find food, you would see that there would be different things available to you at different seasons.
Nuts. You'd have nut season. You'd have fruit season.
Then you'd have, the nuts would sprout, and then you would have leafy season. I mean, you're going to eat more green leafies and stuff like that because it breaks down so fast. And when you can hunt and eat meat, it's going to be a little fresher. You just caught it.
So it's interesting. I mean, and I didn't take it as being a disagreement or anything, but what I'm in my
fight.
In my world, in my vegan world, I give that variation a season. So I change up my vegan intake of protein source. I change up my greens.
And you eat fish sometimes.
Yes, sometimes I occasionally eat fish. To kind of tax and have the body kind of adjust. But yeah, it's important. I mean, although I'm vegan, I'm not just stuck to these 4 core things. I change it up because my body needs that constant change.
Right.
So I'll get in a heavier phase where I'm cooking with a lot of hemp and just quinoa, and then we'll flip and we'll do more tofu and cashew cream based stuff, and then we'll flip back and we'll get a soy-based, protein. So we're constantly evolving and changing that because you need to do that, or your body gets used and adapts to what you're feeding it. So I'm trying to think here, Colin. What was talk about a little bit more about a specific type diet plan.
I just put down give a system.
Yeah, so because I wrote, I didn't put, I just put plan down, which I kind of want to give him a kind of a.
But before I do that, I have to ask you, are you interested? I don't want to give you something that you're not going to use. Do you see any value in
fasting,
in fasting, in some of the strategy?
Definitely.
Okay, so just a quick overview on fasting. When you fast, your IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor, goes through the roof. If you got IGF-1 on the street, it's the most illegal growth hormone that you can purchase. It's equivalent to a felony. You can produce that. You produce human growth hormone. Testosterone levels go up. Testosterone level is illegal on the streets because steroids is illegal on the streets, but it's just not the most illegal. I guess you'll take 2 years or something like that. But when you fast, your stomach, which is where you produce 85% of your serotonin. I know it sounds weird, but your gut is where you produce 75 to 85% of your serotonin. So your mood will go up. Your stomach will actually heal, and you'll actually break down foods more efficiently. I say all that to say this. I want to try to give you a system to where you can kind of use fasting as a tool, and then you can go back to eating however you want once you get closer to your goal. So intermittent fasting is as simple as this. Give your body 12 hours to eat. I try to eat most of my meals in a 4 to 6 to 8 hour window. So all the food that I'm going to eat is in a 6 to 8 hour window with 1 to 2 24 hours a week. I'm not going to ask you to do a 24 hour. I'm just going to say start out with an intermittent fast of 12 and 12, and this is how simple it is. If you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, don't eat until 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
9, 10, whatever the case may be. All right? So that's a 12-hour fast. And then any day that you feel squirrely, just push it. I don't like not eating breakfast.
Yeah.
The first meal you eat is breakfast.
Yeah,
it's break fast. Like chill.
Yeah.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day because it's the only way you can start your day. You're going to eat your first meal, and that's it. So don't waste any calories on, putting cream in your coffee. You're still in a fasted state with raw coffee, raw tea. If you've got to put like something in there, then just don't do it yet. You know what I mean? Just push all of that. Yeah. You can still do lemon in your water. You can still do a warm water. Coffee makes me poop real good in the morning.
It's not the coffee.
Well, drink warm water. You'll have the same effect. So now that you've done that fast, just be more purpose in how you eat. So don't do a ton of carbs. Like do green leafies, in the fore part of the day. And then when you work out, here's why your workout will be more intense. You know that if it's not intense, you're not creating a reason to eat the complex carbs afterwards. You're not creating a reason to get that insulin dump, the most potent endogenous steroid that you have. You know what I'm saying? Exogenous steroids, Billy Bob over here in a garage, man, they're gonna love this, man. This is oil base right here. And when he puts this in his butt, he's gonna get it just like he wants it, boy. That guy is not going to be able to produce that perfect blend of testosterone, andro, IGF-1, human growth factor. Not to mention, this is the other part. Those of you that have libido issues, when you fast, guess what happens? Your liver, your spleen, your pancreas are producing all these enzymes that's not breaking down food, but it's breaking down toxins. It's breaking down anything that has a positive ion. So when you poop, that's positive ions. That's your body trying to get rid of that. But there's positive ions in your body you can't get rid of, like the plaque in your capillaries and veins. If I can't get, I did that.
I did that on camera. I mean,
I did that on camera.
That's his universal.
I did that on camera.
We always go back to primal stuff.
You got to get that in there. You got to get that in your veins. When you have these enzymes going into your capillaries and veins, breaking down all that plaque, the blood can get through there like it properly needs to. The oxygen that you have in your body is because of the blood carrying it throughout your body. So when you destroy all of that plaque and get rid of all that crap and get that into your lymphatic system and out of your body, what you've done essentially is you've corrected an erectile issue. That's most of it. If you have erectile dysfunction and you want to know if this will work for you, go take a Viagra. If you get a hard on, you know this will work for you. But if you take Viagra and you don't get a hard on, you know that it's deeper in the well. It's more hormones and things of that nature.
And even that, we hit this before, right? So nitric oxide, L-arginine,
right,
is a vasodilator,
right,
which is what Viagra does.
Exactly.
So we can do it naturally. There's ways you can do that, and that all starts with,
right.
Now, I've read that like turkey has a lot of L-arginine in it.
Well, the thing is, arginine is absorbed very, very well with young people. We are not. Young people, because their endothelial wall is more clear. So arginine will go in and dilate them very well. As you get older, you need arginine and citrulline at an 8-to-1 ratio. That's almost impossible to get. So all that says to be is soluble fiber, get those enzymes going, and get your gut, when you fast or when you do vinegar, if you do lemon, it increases the acid in your stomach as well, so it helps you to break down foods easier. But get that in those veins, clear that out. Now you can take turkey and get a hard on.
Yeah.
Whereas, as a 45-year-old, you're going to need some citrulline.
So let's talk about it. So we're starting to build up for diet, and so let's start with the gut, because we know that's where it starts. So how do we heal the gut? Obviously, reducing the inflammation causing types of food. Inflammation causing food. So then we also need to put good things in there, digestive enzymes to help break down, probiotics to give the gut the natural, and then you want to have some sort of a omega. A lot of people say fish oils, but you think about this. What are you getting? The fish eat the algae that has the omegas in it.
Phytoplankton.
So get a nice algae source, because it's going to be readily available and assimilated in your body. Your body has to go through extra steps to break down a fish oil. So probiotics, digestive enzyme, and fish oils, those all work in conjunction together to help heal the gut and create a healthy environment for the food to be assimilated properly.
Well, with the probiotics, guys, you want to make sure that you're eating the foods that the probiotics need. Right. And that's a prebiotic.
Prebiotic, yeah.
So that goes back to eating more. What is it? My brain is farting. What is the term for like broccoli? What is broccoli and spinach?
Antagonist?
No, you're an asshole.
I got to scoot out for just a second.
That's okay. So,
you buy me?
Yep.
He's got to go put money in the meter. So,
but the term eludes me, and I apologize for that. We can put it in the notes. But when you eat broccoli and garlic and onions and mushrooms, those types of prebiotics, that's the food that the probiotics need. But it's also it's the thing that is, all these terms are eluding me. It's been so long since I've talked about this stuff. I've been crawling too much. When you have a probiotic, it's typically in a fermentation situation. So, like when I eat, what is it, kombucha? It's fermented. Mm-hmm. All right, and then that bacteria is what ultimately I ingest. That's the probiotic. Well, the same thing happens in your small intestines. Your probiotic will eat that, and whatever's still there, it will ferment there, and then that will actually become a colony of probiotic. That's why you're not going to be as deficient in probiotics if you eat those types of foods. Well, here's the other thing. When you eat those types of foods, those probiotic that's produced in your body, they have the information of how your body works,
Right.
and they know how to function with your body more efficiently than what you take out of a store. They have to be educated.
Right.
So whatever's there actually educates. I know it sounds weird, but it's a colony for a reason. They have to be educated, which means when you take a antibiotic, you kill off all the flora in your gut, you kill off all the bacteria, and you start from scratch, which is why a lot of times you will reject any sort of outside source unless you have, something there already. You know what I mean? So a lot of people that take antibiotics all the time, they're very deficient, even with a supplement, because there's nothing there. Imagine wiping out all of our colony here, and then Donald Trump is all that's left, and he's going to establish what it's going to be from now on. The old system would be totally gone.
That's a whole nother show.
Are we talking about probiotics?
So we're building from the bottom up, right? So we're talking about the gut and what we need to do there. So now let's talk about the nutrition source and what we're going to put in on top of that, right? So we're healing the gut. We're eliminating or purging out as much inflammation.
Start with the gut.
We're never going to get fully rid of the inflammation, but we're going to really dramatically reduce it. I'm talking about the bad inflammation.
Yeah.
So we're there. Now, let's talk about the nutrition we're putting in as far as the protein sources and the carbohydrates. Let's give him a kind of a roadmap. You kind of know what he eats already.
Right.
Let's maybe change some of those things and introduce some things in.
Okay, so your goal is to have a little bit more mass? Is that what
I'm not that interested in mass or tone and health and strength.
Tone and health and strength.
Yeah.
So what I would start with is timing, like the intermittent fasting thing. I would start with the timing on that. So do you think you can do a 12 and 12 every day?
Oh, yeah.
12 and 12 is easy. Okay, so could we commit to 2 days where you push it maybe to 13, 14, 15 hours, maybe 16?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so on those days that you push it, those are the days that I would do the most intense workout before I ate. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to give you the most hormonal benefit. And think about it.
But doesn't that sound counterintuitive to people? People would think,
It's
well, God,
counterintuitive.
why would I do that? I'm going to use up more of my nutritional source,
Right.
But
If you
but
don't-
explain why, yeah.
Well, if you're working out and you eat, you get a result over a year of losing. Say you need to lose 150 pounds and you lose 35 or 40 pounds in a year. You did nothing really. On top of the fact you've wasted all that time not losing all the weight that you're probably introducing that. Your body's learning how to adapt to a ton of things, and then by the time you get the information you need, it's going to be a harder fight for you. I mean, your body knows how to adapt to everything already. Your opportunity to get to where you want to get is in the beginning when everything is different. You don't want to turn it into a genius and then talk about, what's 2 + 2. He's going to be like, is that what you got for me? Your body adapts. That's the reason why you get a result, or you stay the same, or you have to have a really good fight on your hands. So I say all that to say this. When you do that 12 and 12, and you on those days, I would be a rest day, or I'd work out, still intense, but just know that the most beneficial day or the heaviest day, whatever your program is, should be on that longest fast day, so that you're forcing those mitochondria to actually think that they're in jeopardy, so that they actually have to give you something. Most people, they'll eat before, or they won't even tax their body enough to make the mitochondria in a cell do anything. You know what I mean? Like, why would it respond?
Well, it's like we've talked about. I know we've talked about people in their nutrition plans before, that the people that are trying to lose weight, and why we tell them that if you're going to eat something late, make it protein. Why is that? Because the L-carnitine is shuttling fat.
Right.
So what is it doing? If you're eating a carb source before you go to bed, well, your body in that fasting stage for the energy, it's going to use that last carb you took in. Why you want to not intake the carb is you want it to go to the fridge, the stored fat, the things that are stored there to burn. So that's why that fast when you sleep is most important for people trying to lose weight. And then if your first meal, if you have to have a meal right away when you wake up, still make sure that it's mainly protein based, because that L-carnitine is still at its maximum effect. So I'm a couple of things here about on Facebook, and then let you get back, because I want to acknowledge.
All right.
And this is true, Wade. We need public workout areas at the parks. It goes back to our show.
That's all I'm using right now.
Yeah.
There's one at Ascend, and there's one at the Gulch.
Oh, that's good to know. But I agree. And some of those things you can use, like the bike racks and stuff like that. You can do push-ups and things like that on. But we do, and that was kind of the goal of the show we had a while back with the guy that had the show, Raise Up, the World Is Our Gym.
Right.
They want to spread more of that. And Wade says, well, I'm about dead from decay then. Got to get to bear crawl, I guess. Then he adds, I'm gaining mass in my belly. From all the.
Hey, make sure you wear gloves.
Yeah, make sure you wear gloves.
I was going to ask you about gloves.
Yeah, you've got to wear gloves.
I thought maybe you should.
Well, I didn't know. It's one of those.
On your hands.
Well, that's the thing. Like, had I known, I wouldn't have even started. Probably. I mean, it was horrible.
Oh, I bet.
But next time I know, because my next one I'm gonna go to the park. I know where the mile mark is. I don't care how long it takes. It'll probably take me 4 hours, but I'm gonna crawl a mile, but with no heels. You know what I'm saying? It'll be flat. Yeah. But yes, make sure you wear a good pair of gloves. I can't stress it enough.
Yeah, athletic shoes, not heels. You know
that would be hot. So that's one of the, some things that I've read from my deep research on Google is that a lot of these kind of muscle building magazines and whatnot say that long extended cardio actually like defeats testosterone, increases.
Yes, exactly.
Because so what's the benefit of this 4 hour thing you're talking about? You're gonna be in cardio at this point, right?
If you walk 24 hours, that's not enough. That's not enough trauma and a tyrannical. Okay, you're in fight or flight. You're in more of a fight or flight when you run. Like, so if you run, like if you're doing a marathon, if you run like the first 3 miles, you're not getting into that fight or flight. But once you get into that cardio where it's a little bit more of a distance, you get into more of a fight or flight. That's what's tearing you down. That's what's causing the estrogen dump and all that stuff. All right, the cortisol dump. That's the word I was looking for. All the words are gone. The cortisol.
Are you fasting right now?
I am fasted. You're supposed to be more intelligent when you're fasted. I beg to differ. But the cortisol is the main reason that you have all the adverse effects. But when you're walking or doing something a little bit more anaerobic, and that goes a duration, and you're hitting the wall, it's more of an anabolic effect. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm crawling, I'm not tired. Right. It's pushing. It's like doing push-ups, until you're absolutely done.
And what is lactic acid? What role does it play in this situation?
Lactic acid is in the Krebs cycle. It's okay.
I mean, what's it doing for? Is it complementing? I mean, you're building up a lot of lactic acid.
Absolutely.
In a 4 hour crawl.
Absolutely.
So does it have any benefit other than that energy?
Yes, it does.
Hormonally, your body is going to be forced to produce a massive amount of testosterone, andro, to kind of compensate for all the trauma. But while you're feeling that, the reason why you trying to get, and when you run out of that, every time your muscles fire, ATP, and you're using 65% of your max, and you've repped it 10 times, and you only have 13. ATP ATP. So what else do you have? All right, adenosine triphosphate, adenosine, creatine. You're going down through the Krebs cycle. You can push past all the way until you get to lactic acid, and that is no oxygen left. You're just running on pure acid, and then your muscle stops firing. So like when you use supplements like creatine temporarily, and even arginine and citrulline, you want to use, and you're using that not as a holistic, but more as a ballistic, where you're using it for volumization of the cells and of the muscle and stuff like that. It's cycled. Yeah. Everything is cycled because your body adapts. I mean, without debating any further, if your body is like a car, there's absolutes. There are no absolutes with your body, because unique to you, this hot day, to me, you and Scott, is going to be a totally different experience.
All feel completely different, yeah.
Depending on what we've done up until that point. Mm-hmm. To me, I'm going to be smoldering hot. To you, you might still be cold, and to Scott, he might be somewhere in between. So you have to, if you really want to get the results, you have to kind of keep a log, keep a journal, and then commit to a system that you're going to do, and then just kind of document as you go. And then as you make your adjustments and you get to the end of that documentation, that's going to be your beginning the next time. So this one that you started with is going to be replaced with what you actually got. And then when you come back around the mountain, you'll start with that. So even every lap you take is going to take on its own little unique evolution. But then that next thing that you go to, this is the most important part. The next thing that you go to in your plan, you want to make sure it's the exact antagonist or opposite of what this was. So if you went more crawly and this and that, everything's going to be different. But if you went really high reps and moderate weight here, then go with more of a powerlifting or something here, and then a crawl body weight thing, and then the sprints, and then even push the limits and go distance. Yes, there are cortisol disadvantages, but there's more advantages of running long distances than there is the other. So, it's not worth creating an over exaggerated narrative of negative and not do something, especially if you need the overall, hey, I want my body to experience different things so that I can continue to adapt. That's the overall goal.
And you don't have to overwhelm yourself with thinking, okay, 6 weeks from now I've got to come up with a different plan. Let's say just use one exercise. Let's say you're doing dips at the gym and you're just using body weighted dips. Next 6 weeks come around, you're like, I still really like doing these dips. I enjoy doing this. Add a 5-pound weight, a 10-pound weight around your waist, something like that, right?
Push-ups and pull-ups will never.
Yeah. So
there will be in every cycle for me.
So you're still doing the same movement, but you're introduced a different way of doing it to your body, and it's then having to adapt to that new role again. Right. So I think a lot of people miss it. Like, wow, I really love doing my dips. Damn, I got to change, and I got to do something different. You don't. You can just change, slightly alter it a little bit. So
right. So with the green leafies on your diet, when you're eating those green leafies, don't think about it as, man, I've got to eat these green leafies, but you're thinking about it in a way of, okay, these two especially, broccoli and spinach, increase your testosterone on their own astronomically. Without going into a bunch of detail, those two need to be in your diet massively. Okay, so by the time you eat that meal after your workout, and you eat a rice or a quinoa or noodles or whatever case, here's the part that a lot of people aren't going to like to hear. Your body doesn't really care if you're going for the insulin. Your body doesn't care if it's cake or if it's a potato.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can do a dirty insulin spike, or you can do a clean one. I mean, clean is great, but to know that there's no wrong way to do it. Now, there's pros and cons to sugar. There's the inflammation. There's all that stuff. But if you're just going for the insulin effect, boom. But look at it this way. If you fast, and this is the narrative I really want to get across to all the people that I know. If you fast and you eat meat less You know what I mean? Eat meat on purpose in an area where you could actually simulate it. After a workout and after a fast, you're going to have protein synthesis is going to be 85% more efficient. So you're going to break down more of that protein is hard to break down. And if you also have supplements in your diet like black seed oil and oil of oregano at times and liposomal vitamin C, which is a vitamin C that's comparable to injections, and B12 and a vitamin that you can actually simulate.
Right.
If a vitamin says, okay, for instance, like vitamin C, if vitamin C has at the end of it extracted from, then that's a vitamin C you can use. If it says ascorbic acid,
Yeah.
it's like me saying I have a Lamborghini and you come to my house and I've painted a frame red. I got a red Lamborghini and I'm selling you a red frame.
Mm-hmm.
It is the outside molecule of vitamin C. There's 6 more molecules inside that you're missing. But ascorbic acid is all you need if you want to fight scurvy. I've
Yeah.
never met a motherfucker with scurvy, and I cursed it.
Well, not only that, not only that, Colin. Not only that, we talked about all the trace minerals that you miss out on too. I mean,
Exactly.
there's a reason why when you eat an orange, you get so much more benefit than if you take a vitamin C tablet. You'd have to take a whole lot more vitamin C tablet, which then is bad for your body, than if you just ate a damn orange because all the trace minerals that are in.
Well,
inherent in
and it also goes back to, I have to say this part as well. Organic mineral and an inert mineral are two totally different things. An inert mineral is a mineral that we can't simulate.
Right.
It has to be pulled. Inert or dirt minerals have to be pulled into the plant. Now it's organic. I eat it. I turn it back into inert shit, and I could put that back down on the ground, and it absorbs it back in. That's why fertilizer is a great thing to put on your plants. When we ingest inert minerals, it's nothing more than an antigen. It's nothing more than an allergy.
Yeah.
And what you do with allergies and inert minerals and heavy metals in your body is we push that into our lymphatic system out of the body if we can, or if it has a half-life that's more than several months old, you push that into your muscle, not your muscle, but into your ligaments and your joints and fatty tissue. So what you're doing is, I gave you the ingredients to arthritis. I gave you the ingredients to fibromyalgia. All that is your body is constantly fighting against these minerals that are sitting in your joints and sitting in your fatty tissue. And then finally your body builds up so much inflammation that it might be chronic pain. Like what I just mentioned. You know, people used to think that fibromyalgia was this phantom thing. You can't find it.
Yeah.
It's microscopic. You can't find a mineral sitting lodged in your body.
And you're not born with it, so that tells you right there.
Right.
The proof is in your diet and how you're treating what you're feeding your body.
So you have something like lead that has a half-life of millions and millions of years. You've got to get that out of your system.
Right.
You can get lead in, that's pushed down into your knee, and you have knee pain for all your life, and all you had to do is just surgically get that taken out. Well, a half-life of most minerals is several months. But if you constantly drink it, by the time you're 25, you're whatever. I feel great. By the time you're 30, it might be adrenal fatigue, and then now you might start to get the massive amounts of inflammation where you're actually starting to feel pain, and you're not recovering as well. So you have that process that I just mentioned. Now imagine all those cells that duplicated that horrible process that you had going there.
All that whole time.
So your body has all these cells that don't even really know how to feel normal. So you make it normal by thinking that it's just age. And all it was is just a switch up of the diet, switch up of some activity, and a switch up of some mentalities. And your age would be more like, I'm copying off a sheet of paper every 10, and then you duplicate back to the front instead of you're duplicating.
You're taking the original
one
and
over and over and over again.
So a great anti-inflammatory and gut healer is turmeric root. And then we mentioned this on last show. You want to make sure you take that with black pepper.
Right.
It helps it to assimilate in the body more effectively. So we had a conversation about that a couple of weeks ago, just up in the kitchen. I said, here's some turmeric. I said, you need to take it with pepper. He goes, well, why do I need to do that? So
exactly.
We had that conversation. So we've kind of given him, again, the gut and knowing he needs to change. Let's give him a specific diet we would like for him to kind of follow, because he's open to obviously making these changes. So let's give him kind of a path that he can, incorporate starting today. And can anybody? Oh, by the way, can anybody tell that Colin is a personal trainer and went to school for nutrition? I don't know if you can tell that or not.
We've started over the diet like 12 times. But
No. But what I'm saying is, there's been nothing specific.
What do I eat for dinner tonight?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Need specifics for
Right.
him. Yeah.
Okay, so if you worked out today, I would do most of my complex after that. A meal might look like some brown rice, salmon, and and like some vegetables on the side, vegetables that matter for that type of day. Like you did a workout, so we know we want a hormone spike, we know we want an insulin spike. Hormone meaning HGH, IGF-1, andro if you're a man. So, burp. So, so if you add one of those, like a spinach or a broccoli, there are things in cooked broccoli and spinach that are different than things that are in just raw organic. That's why I say do both. Sometimes do a salad with just the olive oil on it, and then other times maybe cook it in your eggs in the morning or whatever. The thing is, I know this is going to sound weird, but there's fat soluble vitamins in your vegetables that you can't get them unless there's some sort of fat source. Mm-hmm. So the plant sources that you want to use are going to be more plant-based. However, butter is still a great source, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that. But one of the main reasons I like butter is the same reason I like coconut oil. Coconut oil is plant-based. It's got the medium chain triglycerides and long chain triglycerides, but so does butter. The only difference is from that poor old cow that was
and also too,
abused.
What's important to say there is a lot of people talk about cooking with olive oil and stuff, because on the surface it's not a saturated fat, but when you heat it to a certain level, it's a saturated fat. Right. Butter and coconut oil do not do that.
Right.
At a certain point.
Right.
It can
do not
withstand
cook
it.
with olive oil.
Yeah.
Put it on your food afterwards.
Yes, exactly.
It's carcinogenic the
Absolutely.
more it's heated. But butter and coconut oil have it's extremely high smoke ratios. Lard, if you're gonna cook for the smoke ratio, but lard again is going to be 100% long chain, and it's harder for your capillaries and veins to deal with that overload of fat. But that would be the post meal that I would eat, like pushing those carbs, pushing the protein source after that, because you actually give it a reason. But all the other times, I would keep my protein either low or plant-based, or I would do it first thing, so that by the time I did my workout fasted, I could actually start to simulate that some. You know what I mean? Like do things on purpose. So if you have to, like if you love protein like I do, start with the protein, and then the middle be clear of the carbs, like even that first meal, try to be more green leafy carbs and stuff like that, like broccoli or spinach. I just simply put spinach in my eggs, and whatever, if you want to put like a little bit of a meat source in your eggs or something like that, and then try to stay away from carbs. All right, and then go into your day, same thing, spinach, broccoli, green leafy, even if it's lettuce. I mean, it doesn't matter. But just keep your carbs more fibrous, and a low glycemic, and then you work out. Try to be fasted, like, at least 2 or 3 hours before you ate anything, and then do your workout, and then you pound the, maybe 150 to 200 grams of carbs and about 35 to 40 grams of protein. If it's plant-based, if it's meat, more like 25 or 30. Again, you're not even going to get that protein for the protein in meat. You're not even going to get that for weeks. Yeah, even if it's fish.
So another good way also to get the good carbohydrates too is to juice these things in 2 different ways. You can do the regular juice because you'll get some extraction there, but if you do a whole juice, like if you had a Ninja, say example, you mixed up the entire thing,
what?
Because you get
What'd you call me?
No, you get the whole.
Ninja.
I just got it.
Ninja.
We talked about
so
that.
You get
Ninja.
So you get the whole. You get all the fiber. You get everything from it too, and that's a good way to get a massive amount in a drink. Which is
but let's just talk about taste. I mean, there has to be, like, what do you do? Because I was thinking about that recently. Actually, I got some spinach, and I was like, I got some, like, decent, healthy dressing, olive oil stuff, whatever.
Right.
And then I'm thinking, I've got a Ninja, and I'm thinking, I could Ninja this and consume a whole lot, but then I'm like, it's going to taste like shit. I'm going to do it one time and hate it and never do it again.
So then you want to
put some
pair
fruit in it?
Pair it with some
Lard.
fruit, yes. Put a T-bone. No. You want to, apple, pear, something that has a really good high sugar value, but not a lot of it, like a whole apple, especially and that's one of those things you want to get organic, as an apple or strawberries and things like. There's some, like pears, you don't have to get organic, but you're going to get that sweet's going to take that bitter away and give you that, because you're craving the sugar. I mean, we all crave the salt and the sugar flavor, right? So you can kind of mask some of that, and also when you're done, because it's really hard to juice, put an orange and a lemon in there, but squeeze some of that in at the end as well, because you're going to get the acidic, which is actually alkaline for your body, in there as well. So you get a really high nutritional value, where you'd have to sit down and eat a whole smorgasbord.
Take forever.
You can literally get it in a 12 or 14 ounce
I'm all about
thing.
the Ninja. So I think I'm probably
add some ice to it too, because it'll make you feel, be a kind of a treat to you too. It almost feel like, it's kind of like having a shake in a way. You know what I mean?
So, I think that's what I'm thinking is I need to definitely take a break from the shake that I'm used to. So I'm going to find some alternatives, incorporate that into the Ninja.
Absolutely,
and there's some.
Steel cut oats are better than old fashioned oats too. By the way,
I do steel cut.
Great.
Yeah. Well, steel cut is done in its own mill, where oats are done with wheat, and you're still going to have massive amounts of gluten.
Right. So okay. Here's an example. Like, if you're going to continue to, obviously I love bread. We all love bread. But if you're wanting to try to decrease inflammation in your body, get a sprouted wheat bread. Why? Because the protein hasn't changed to a gluten, which then causes inflammation in the body. There's all these people going around, I need gluten-free. We all have sensitivity to it at some level, some more, some less. So if you really want to try to avoid that and you still want the bread, try to find a sprouted wheat. Because
did you guys just disagree about oatmeal? I just
no. Steel cut is in its own mill, and it's not cross-contaminated with wheat.
Okay.
And he.
Okay. I'm
now track. He's talking.
Okay, I'm on track.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the sprouted wheat. I don't know where else I was going with that after that. I just wanted to mention that because we were talking about the steel cut oats. So.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that post meal is probably the most important part of your diet. And on days that you're not going to go, you're not going to work out, I would just put that meal in the same spot, maybe less carbs, you know what I'm saying? Because you want to put carbs in your body for a reason, and 200 grams is pretty decent. It's pretty decent. The other thing that I would do is I would get a shake and just try it, man. Plant-based shake.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
And you can add that to your shakes. You can add that to your juice. You could, you know what I mean? You could do
two of my favorite ones. Obviously, I've tried a lot of them.
You have
yeah. So there are two. There's a Sun Warrior protein. There's a raw plant. I don't like vanilla. It makes me kind of gag, especially when it's a protein source like that. Vanilla ice cream's fine, but vanilla kind of makes me gag, so I get the chocolate. And then there's a so that's super clean. Sun Warrior plant protein. And then there's one escaping me right now. Actually, you can get it at Sam's, and Costco sells it in bulk there too. It is called. Keep talking because it'll come back to me here in a second.
Well, on those days that you're fasting long, and maybe you don't work out, a very high protein simulation day is going to be when you come off. And if you want, I want some meat. Do it there. Do it on your break fast on those days. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that meat is horrible, because it really isn't. It's just easy to overdo, because it takes so long to break it down, and anything that sits in your body too long rots or ferments.
Does that go for eggs as well?
Eggs, okay. Eggs break down pretty decent. You still got several days though that you break it down, but it's of course it's going to break down easier. And fish, and then everything else takes forever to break down. So you have to imagine inside your body is 98 degrees Fahrenheit. If whatever you didn't break down, it's now a foreign substance in your body. Your immune system is actually going to start to work on it, and it's just not good. That's why plant-based, for me, the reason why I hate Scott so much is because he's right about the vegan thing. I think it's overboard to go 100% vegan, because I know that you need some meat, but then it goes back to the point of what's not natural. Well, fire. I mean, I'm not going to eat anything raw. The heart's not going to be beating.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you get into some of the narratives of the debate. You're just like, holy crap, it's getting crucial here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I like to grill. Well, all the charred parts on the meat that taste so delicious. Oh my God, I want some. It's massively carcinogenic. Yeah. So you're literally eating cancer.
Yeah.
And a carcinogenic, a lot of people says it causes cancer. No, it's the narc.
Yeah.
Carcinogenic means it's just going to tell the cancer or the rogue cells where to go. So if I smoke, that carcinogenic thing is going into my lungs. So they're going to be narking, hey man, this area right here is vulnerable. Come on, cancer.
Yeah.
So that's a hard pill to swallow. But at the same time, anything that you do less is your body's great. You've been doing shit all your life. How come you're not dead yet? Because your body's amazing at adapting.
Yeah.
So if you give it a chance to rebound and take a break, sit on a stool if you're a boxer, or take a pit stop if you're a race car, or take in football you have halftime, your body will do it.
Yeah.
And you will live a prosperous life.
So here, I found it. I actually had to pull up my Instagram where I posted my favorite protein. So the Sun Warrior Blend Raw Vegan Protein is my favorite. Then Orgain Organic Protein. So what I like about the Sun Warrior is it's raw. It's 100% vegan, and it also, they have a chain in there that has some of dehydrated fruits and vegetables in there as well. So you get a little bit of that. It's never going to replace juicing and eating, but it helps kind of complete a chain or bridge the gap in between whenever you're not able to do that kind of thing. So and then also, like, my meal every morning is a vegan shake like that, and I put banana, strawberry, ice, the protein. Then I actually have another powder that I put in there. It's dehydrated raw fruits and vegetable. That's a powder that I then put in there for my protein as well. So again, because not every day can I juice like that. Not every day can I eat the way I need to eat, but I need something to kind of bridge that gap. So I recommend maybe having some of that stuff on hand. So if you get toward the end of the day, you say, well, damn, I really don't feel like juicing, because damn, cleaning this thing is a bitch every time to clean. I don't want to sit down and eat like I've just pulled up at the Shoney's breakfast bar and have all these fruits and vegetables in front of me. I'm going to take a powder. You know what I'm saying? At least
Right.
it's something and it needs to be raw and organic as well. So yeah, that's the protein source. I'm going to share, while you have something, I'm going to share something too, the 11 most powerful antibiotics as well. So do you have?
Okay. So just a quick example of what I would do if I were sitting in your shoes right there. I would have a day that I did more of a moderate carb and a day that I did high carbs.
Yeah.
So if you'll put down on your sheet of paper,
I love that. What you're saying,
yeah, Monday, like
that way it keeps a variety. It gives you the variety, and because you need those things, right?
You shut the fuck up.
No, I'm trying to.
Man, my brain is trying, and you keep on.
Monday. We started with Monday.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through Friday. Okay?
I'm just going to turn my mic down.
All right. So on Monday, I would put high intensity, high carbs. Tuesday, low intensity, low carbs. Wednesday, I would push a fast there. So that's where I would do a 24, but do a 13 to 16, whatever that looks like for you. And on that day, high intensity. And what I mean by high intensity is you've been doing the same workout for a year, so I would do a high intensity burst. So I would sprint 100%. I mean, whatever that looks like for you. Imagine a lion's chasing you. Sprint on an elliptical, preferably on a spin bike or a recumbent. Put the resistance up, and you sprint for 30, 45 seconds to a minute, as hard as you can, and then rest however long you need to bring your heart rate back down to your not your resting heart rate, but your medium heart rate. So like if you spike it up to 150, 160, don't sprint again until you bring it down to like 120.
That's kind of what I've done in the past. So.
Okay. So do that before and after your workout. So
is that the high intensity? Do that before and after, and you mean like
on your high intensities, you're going to do a spike of like 3 or 4. Okay, so you're gonna for 30, 45 to 60 seconds, you're gonna push, and then you're gonna rest. You're gonna push, and you're gonna rest. You're gonna do 3 to 4 of those spikes.
And so what? But about in between, just like.
And then in between, you're gonna do whatever your program is that you decide.
And that's what you mean by low intensity is like the normal program.
The low intensity would be no bursts, and your workout would be more like just a moderate day. You know what I mean? You're not pushing the limits. You know what I'm saying? So like if I'm like, I'll use me as an example. On an intense day, I would do my sprints, and then I would go do my pull-ups, my push-ups, and inverted to failure, to absolute failure, to where I can't even do negatives. And then I would recover from that, do my burst at the end, and then I'll go eat in an hour after that. You know what I'm saying? On not so intense, I'm not going to do any bursts. I'm just going to get my quota, do my 100 pull-ups, but just 10 at a time, and rest, and just enough that my body I want my body to think about pull-ups like it would, how we walk. We don't think about walking as being any sort of work at all. So the push day, and then the stimulation day, and then the rest days are all different. All right. So Thursday, I would do a rest day there. So it would just be a 12 and 12. And then Friday through Saturday, I would repeat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I say that's an example because you want to mix that around however you need to. But that would be the approach that I would take. I would have it's a little bit of variety throughout every day, but it's also a system that your body would have to kind of work out. So the next thing that I would do, I wouldn't have a system like this. I would just have every day be similar, but it's overall system that you're going to change at the end. So you can actually take what you're doing now, do what Scott suggested, and just push that weight up and bring the reps down, go to failure, and then put those bursts at the beginning and at the end, and then make those adjustments, and then just use that diet around what we just suggested in those small windows. So you're intermittent fasting, you've added the variety of diet, and then Scott's going to tell you some antioxidants.
Yeah. So first, what questions do you have on that? Is that all?
Yeah.
Is it clear? Does it make sense?
It's pretty clear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
so and for people that are watching, we'll post this in the show notes so you have kind of just just vary it for you. And here's something that I want to say that's important. Yes, we want to do things that make our body a bit uncomfortable because you need to push that, help it to stretch.
Absolutely.
Just like we talk about mindset, you have to do that kind of stuff. But you also want to do things you enjoy, because if you don't, you'll never do it. So, find something that you really like and maybe push it a little bit more than you would, and just don't do something totally foreign. You're like, God, I really hate this, and you dread doing it.
Dude, if you like to play golf, put ankle weights on.
Yeah, exactly.
Ankle weights are horrible to run in because of your knees, but to walk around in, they're astronomically amazing. Like, put some ankle weights on, maybe some wrist, maybe not missed your swing up. But, yeah, man, put some ankle weights on and walk around that golf course.
I agree. So I'll share this, 11 most powerful antibiotics. I had posted this some time ago on Instagram. So, of course, some of these we know. Apple cider vinegar,
right?
Garlic, ginger, horseradish root, onion, habanero peppers, oregano oil, turmeric, echinacea herb, raw honey, and colloidal silver.
Colloidal silver. The funny thing about that, all I heard was bad breath. Bad breath.
Yeah.
More bad breath.
Isn't that funny, though?
Yeah.
It's funny that would be the case. And something else, too, a lot of times we're missing minerals. Of course, you're going to get more of that because you're going to try to juice more and things like that. But for those that aren't doing so much, trace minerals. Get a thing of trace minerals, because and try to do it before you go to bed. Don't do it in the morning. Why is that so important, Colin?
Okay, your minerals are anabolic. You have an anabolic phase of the day, which is while you're asleep at night. That's when you replenish your hormones. Think about it like a phone. The anabolic phase would be when your phone is on the charger. So you're replenishing all your hormones there. So what's the ingredients to your hormones? Mostly trace minerals. All right, so, and vitamins and things of that nature. So when you ingest your minerals, you're going to better assimilate those at night while your body needs those ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to take this opportunity to say this. For women, copper is more important. For men, zinc is more important. Copper is the thing that you deplete the most during your cycle, especially when you have the conversion during your cycle of estrogen to progesterone. That switch, you use astronomical amounts of copper. It's one of the main reasons women are so irritable when they have their cycle. Copper has a lot to do with your cognizance and your mood, but it's also your elastogen, your collagen, your melanin, all that stuff. I say melanin. It's melanin depletion is one of the reasons why you get gray hair. So when you dye your hair or you're super stressed out and things of that nature, you deplete your copper at a drastic rate, which is why a lot of women that are young, when they start trying to go back natural, they have a lot of gray hair. It's because they depleted most of their copper in their hair. You're not going to find that in Google because it's more of a holistic thing, and holistics is looked down upon, is frowned upon. But do a little deep research and you'll find that. Or you can just take my word for it, or you can just look at the bitch with the gray hair that's 12 years old, and he cussed again. With I got blue hair. It's gonna be gray in a minute.
Yeah.
But
bitch.
But so with women, millennial. So with women, really try to increase that copper, but the antagonist is what men need. 85% of what semen is zinc. Zinc, same things. It's your immune system, it's your mood, it's all of those things that have to do with recovery. But the problem is you can't take copper, you can't take zinc without copper and zinc. They're antagonists. So it's kind of like the turmeric and the pepper. It goes back to balance. When you take one thing in, you typically need a team of things you need to take in to be able to absorb it properly. So again, change your diet. Change your diet up constantly, and also when you do things, do it in a way that you can actually absorb it. Don't take zinc by itself, guys. Don't take copper by itself. It will it'll F you up. So
I've gotten sick from taking zinc before.
Right. Yeah. So zinc and copper, like even zinc and copper, like one time I was just like, I was doing my thing, I was getting some. I was like, I need some extra copper. I need some extra zinc. And I took two. I don't know what I meant. I took 2 zincs.
Big ass feet.
I know 13s. I took 2 zinc and copper, like within a 3-hour window, and it's only 15 milligrams of zinc, and it's 1.5 to 2 micrograms of copper. Well, I took them both together, and my butt was pretty much liquid for the rest of the weekend. So you got to be careful with how you take it. But if I did a marathon, I would have gotten away with that amount. And if I wouldn't have thought I was such a stud when I did the other thing, it would have been enough. So you've got to read your body. You've got to, when you have those experiences, take a mental note. I don't take 2. I take 2 a day, but it's 1 in the morning. Yeah. It's 1 in the morning and 1 at night, and especially right now when I'm doing all this crawling, all this other stuff, I'm doing a lot of recovery. I'm using a lot of zinc. If I feel my mood dipping, I might take 2 that day. So just you learn to read your body while doing this stuff.
So you take it. Here's what I'm going to say about the probiotics and digestive enzymes. The probiotics do and perform much better if you take it on an empty stomach.
Right. As
well as the turmeric root. The algae oil and the digestive enzymes either right before or right after. Okay? Because here, obviously it makes sense. One thing would make sense to you about the probiotics, why you don't take it with food, because it will kill the probiotic, the bacteria. So the zinc and copper, Colin, talk about that. We just talked, you're going to take it with or without food. For us, that makes sense. But people listening, take it on an empty stomach. What do I do?
Well, the one that you do at night, there's going to be food in there. So you're going to do the one at night before you go to bed. Mm-hmm. All right. Most people don't eat, and then there's crumbs on their mouth, and they go to sleep. You want to take it right before you go to bed. So there'll be a little bit of a gap. But the 1 in the morning will be fasted. You do that. If you are 35, now I'll go as far as say, if you're 30 or older, you need the 2 a day. Mm-hmm. All right. You when you hit puberty as a female at 18, every day after that you're not doing the, unless you're not in that anabolic phase of your life anymore. You're not growing anymore. You are mature. And then from that point on, to be brown and dying or green and growing is up to you. So you got to put in the proper ingredients to get that duplication that's as optimal as possible. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Are you duplicating a shitty cell or a decent cell? It can only be decent. We're going to die at some point. But I make this point. I'd rather die skydiving, having sex, or having fun, driving fast, than to live, and that be like 70, 75, or 80, than to live to be 100 and somebody's been wiping my ass for the last 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I want to live, die.
Yes.
Not live, and then, I sure wish somebody come up here and visit me up here where they yell at me and make me take these pills, and Lord have mercy, and that guy that raped me the other day.
You went there again. No, I'm just
I know, I'm bad. It's gonna be a process for me. I'm working on it. I'm sorry.
So, Brandon, what questions you have over everything we shared? Are you just even more confused now than when you walked in?
Well, I mean, it's a lot, just thinking about that, and for me, like, making these changes incrementally, I have more success over the long term. So, I'm thinking like, okay, I think I've got a good idea how to go about with the exercise. The diet's going to be more radical.
Right.
Because this is just modifying a bit what I'm doing exercise-wise. And I think I'm doing fairly well, but it needs to change up. The diet, like, I'm really interested in maybe leaning more toward, maybe what you do, some meat, but I like Scott's
exactly
convinced me to try the vegan thing for a while. It can't hurt.
Yeah, just incorporate.
It's time to cycle, that. So
I have vegan days.
Yeah. But you have more of those now.
I do.
Yeah, you have
do.
more of those.
I haven't eaten meat this week. It's been 4 days.
So and what's important about that is just like going back to the whole thing about
that's a damn lie. I ate tuna yesterday.
giving variety and doing something you like. So slowly integrate this stuff in. You'll find here's what happens. Your body will start craving what you're feeding it.
Yep.
So if you're giving it nice, healthy, I'm telling you, it just happens. You're feeding it this nice juice. You're giving it, vinegar, honey, and warm water in the morning, whatever. Your body starts craving that because it wants what you feed it. So give it healthy stuff. It's going to crave the healthy stuff. So,
dude,
yeah, it's a lot of supplement. I mean, the supplements, and this, and it's like
yeah.
But it
sounds like a lot because
if it's done increment. If I try to do all this at once, it's going to just be a cluster.
You won't do it. You won't succeed.
It won't happen.
You won't succeed. And here's the good news about this. This is recorded, so you can go back and listen.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and I want to make this point real quick, and I know this is turning into a lot. But I treat every show like it's the last one we'll ever do, so that's why they run a little long. And
maybe.
A little wordy
we never know.
No, it won't. If you, if Scott started some of these supplements, everybody in the world needs to be taking black seed oil.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I don't want to go into a lot of details on it, but it's antioxidant. It cleans out the system. It's amazing. Even that you need to cycle in and out, but black seed oil.
Yeah.
Every man needs this in their life. Every man that saw the commercial of Extends or Viagra was just like, oh, I wonder. Black seed oil. And every woman that's irritable and has all the things that they have going on. And
all of them.
Yeah, black seed oil. But black seed oil in your life. But anyway, if you ingest natural things and expect to feel it, and you haven't detoxed in any way,
right?
Your body doesn't even. It's still fighting. It's in the fight. After
all those years.
After downtown was destroyed by those tornadoes, you can't tell now, but it wasn't livable there for what was it, 7 months? It was destroyed. So your body is not ready for nutrients per se. Yeah, I mean you might absorb 10, 15, maybe 20% of it, but that higher level of percentage of absorption is not available to you yet. So if you are not going to fast, at least detox. But if you're fasting, you're actually allowing your body a level of detox every day, at least 12 hours, to be able to better receive the nutrients, better receive the supplements. And if you're going to have vegan days, or if you are vegan, your body's even going to have more rest because it's not breaking down and fighting as hard. So I'm just saying, do your due diligence before you expect these big things. Get rid of your expectations overall, but if you expect big things, at least do your due diligence and detox, or at least start some sort of fast. And the one you can do, as everyone on this planet, you can at least do 12 and 12.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's when you sleep, the 12.
Right, right. If you stop eating at 7, 8, or 9, you don't eat in the morning until 7, 8, or 9. That's 12-hour fast. And then all the other food that you eat in the day would be squeezed, squizened, in that 12-hour window. So for me, I try to make sure that all of my meals are eaten in 4 to 6 to 8 hours. It's starting to turn into more of those days where it's more like 4 hours. I eat all the food that I'm going to eat in a day.
What I got out of all that, I like the word squizened.
Squizened. Yeah. Squizened is I think that should be a thing.
So, and I'll say, we said this early on, but I think important to note again, it took you years to eat your way into this. It's going to take you a little time to get out. It's not going to take you years to get out because your body is pretty resilient. But it's going to take time. You can't, well, I tried the vegan thing, or I tried the eating healthy and, some probiotics for 2 weeks, and I just don't feel any different, so I went back. You got to give it at least 3 to 6 months to really start getting the benefit, because there's a lot of healing to go on.
How old are you? Well, I'm 65. Well, you've been eating that way for 65 years. You expect something to happen in 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. So typically, Brandon, what we do, since I know you've listened to all of our episodes and watched them all, typically what we do is
such a dickhead.
when it's Colin and I, he gets last word, but we always give our guests the last word. Anything that you want to share, or anything like that you want to kind of talk about, or a question that we may need to kind of follow up on, we will do that. So what do you have? Is there anything else that you during this whole process that's standing out to you that you made notation on?
Well, I really would like for you to put me on the spot at the end of the show and ask me a question like that.
Yeah.
Is there any way you could do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure, certainly.
You got me. I mean, it's been very thorough. I have some notes, as I said. I feel good about beginning it, but more than likely I'm going to be contacting you.
Yeah, for sure.
Over the next few weeks to go, hey.
Yeah.
But no, I think I'm pretty good at it.
And you can contact me too.
We're friends now. That's right.
We are really decent. We're really decent acquaintances.
Well, you backing off now?
No, well, it got a little weird in the middle there.
When we touched feet.
No, that wasn't that. It was
plus the
you can't
when
see.
You kept doing this.
You can't. No, they can't see.
I didn't do it.
Well,
you just did.
The problem was when I was doing that, I was rubbing my foot up and down his leg. So.
Oh.
Plus, he doesn't like the commitment of it because this lives on. It's recorded and it's there forever. Off camera, he'll say all this.
Oh, yeah. It's on after the camera go off.
Fair enough.
So, Colin, what do you got? I will give you last word then, since Brandon bailed out on it.
He kind of gave a last word. My thing is just like what you said. Don't make it a whole big thing. Just take a stepping stone. Take the pie and just slice out one little piece, and then create that little piece as the best you can, and then let it evolve. When I started, I was a massive advocate in picking up some weight, getting on the machine. Every time a debate came around that was, which one's better, I would always say the machine. And it's so crazy because the machine I don't think that you should just do machines. I don't think you should just do body weight or free weight. But I do think body weight is 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
It just is. It's the only portion of the narrative that you would have if those other things didn't exist or wasn't created. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I have to, if I'm born, I have to have that ultimate machine, which is my body. Mm-hmm. And I have to master that as best I can. And if I'm going to leave you with something, it's this. When you're born with almost 20,000 synapses. And that's everything in your brain that is connected to everything in your body. And the more sedentary you become, the more you prune those synapses down. Okay? I used to be able to do a flip when I was a kid. Why can't I now? Because I didn't do it every day. We don't squat all the way down to our natural position, because even right now, we're in a 90-degree angle in how we sit. When we're a baby, our natural position is squatting all the way down. That's the position that our colon's supposed to be in to actually expel properly, the whole 9. But we have a thing called synapse pruning. What you don't use, you actually lose. So crawling is foreign to me. You know, our feet are atrophied because we're disconnected from the ground, and our feet actually atrophy. And if we step on a little pebble, we're literally gonna we're almost gonna have a heart attack like we got shot in the back. So I say this: you master your body the best you can, and then add everything else. You know what I mean? Add the machines as an asset. Add the free weight as an asset, but ultimately use your body the most. When you become an adult, we only have 1,500 synapses. We prune that much away, and that's sad. I mean, that's ridiculous. Why can't we walk on our hands? Why can't we turn a back flip? Why can't we front flip? Why can't we boom, 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 boom? Because we don't use our bodies like we did when we were a baby. Remember when you walked in on your kid and he was climbing up to get the cookie jar? Naturally, because they have all those synapses still. I try to climb up a tree, you know, if I try to climb a tree three years ago, I break my neck. I can climb pretty decently now, and it's still super hard. But I'm reintroducing myself. Why? Less machines, more body. That's something that you're going to have regardless. So I say master that. So anyway, that'd be my last thing, man. Master your body. It's worth billions of dollars.
Absolutely.
Would you give them, if I told you right now, give me your hand, I'll give you $10 million for your hand. Would you give it to me?
Hell no.
So what's the rest of you worth?
Exactly. That's true. So next week, I know everybody's sad. They're going to see this table is going to be gone. We got a new studio table coming in next week. So anyway, say bye to it while you can.
Yeah, he made a table. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I channeled my inner Randy Bessling. He inspired me to do it.
Bob
He's phenomenal. Anyway, so until next week, I'm Scott.
It's Colin.
It's Brandon.
Out.
So we're still streaming the audio podcast recording version is stopped. We're still live on Facebook. We'll turn that off. Facebook people, thank you again. This was a long one. Thank you for kind of sticking in and staying with us during the process. But you know, it's not something you can kind of cover in 1 hour or whatever. So we went a little over 2 hours, but that's okay. It's there for you to see too.
And it's mostly for Brandon anyway.
Yeah. So thank you for being a guinea pig.
Right, that was great. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So
very informative.
We'll, until next week, Facebook people greatly appreciate you tuning in again. We won't go so long next week. And thank you. I'm going to go down and cut the feed now.
I definitely will start eating what you eat.